Hi everyone. Here I am, ready to listen to Locomotive Breath by Jethro Tull. This is my very first exposure to anything by Jethro Tull, and Vlad tells me that they feature the flute, so I'm very curious about that element, and also curious to see what is this music, how does it compare to what I've heard before. So, let's get started. That piano opening sounds like some late romantic era piano music, like, what should I say, maybe, I'm trying to think of a specific composer, but I can't nail it to one specific composer right now. But it has that really romantic, fluid, expressive sound and nice opening. And now it's getting a bit jazzy sounding. I feel like I'm, listening to some jazz. But I shouldn't interrupt quite so often. I'll try to let it go a bit further. Interesting transition. Really, that gave me the real jazzy vibe in that part. Was that the electric guitar playing? But it sounded kind of like a saxophone. And so I felt like I was hearing saxophone and piano and the whole jazz scene really pictured in my mind. And now there's a significant shift coming. And it had an interesting transition into it. So I'm going to back up just enough to hear the transition. And then we'll go on.
In the shuffling madness of the locomotive breath runs the all-time loser.
I listened to all of that just in sequence because it definitely has some energy, and it's not jazz anymore, but there is still this jazz feeling to it a little bit. I can hear the influences. It does give this sort of feeling of a train chugging down the track, chug, 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 and I can hear the way the instruments are being used to create that train chugging, steam train, diesel train, I'm not sure what, but anyway, probably steam train I would go for. And I like it. It's kind of fun. Now the flute's coming in, and it surprised me how dynamic the flute was. It wasn't just, I was thinking, okay, locomotive breath, maybe it's going to be the train whistle or something like that. But this is something different, so I'm ready to hear what it is. Wait, now I heard something else come in. Small. It's like a little bit of some percussion thing. It almost sounds like kitchen utensils rattling. Let me back up just a little bit and see if I can find it.
Here's the silence howling, catches angels as they fall, and the all-time winner has got him by the balls. Oh, it picks up Gideon's Bible, open at page 1. I thank God it stole the handle, and the train it won't stop. Oh, no, it could slow down. 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 Way too slow down.
And we're already at the end. That went kind of fast. I mean, I almost felt like it could have gone on longer. I feel like, well, it's a piece of music where you can get into it and you can really feel it and move with it, and it's fun. It's engaging. It really gets you involved with the mood and the rhythm and all the dynamic things happening in it. It almost feels like it was too short. Maybe it shouldn't be longer, though, because unless you were to develop the ideas, musical ideas more, it might start feeling repetitive and dull. But that was fun. I felt like I took a fun little train trip. I feel like I should go back and listen to some parts of it right now, because it just happened so fast, and I didn't really, I mean, yes, I noticed things, but I'm going to back up a ways, because I do want to try to catch as much as I can. So maybe you'll hear a bit of a second listen happening right now as well. I'll just go back to the beginning, and maybe I'll skip around. Maybe I'll stop and talk a bit. But let's start from the beginning, because I also enjoyed that piano intro a lot. So here we go, with these nice bass notes at the opening. That's just such a great opening. I love it. I guess that's something that I would enjoy playing on the piano, that little intro, and it could probably even work on the harp, but the way it's set up, it's definitely a piano sound. I like it. I do like it a lot. And it's so interesting to me that they started off in a way that when you get into the song, you start hearing the really big jazz style influences. But the opening isn't necessarily screaming jazz. It could be one of those late 19th, early 20th century popular piano pieces that everybody would learn to play in their home. Not really jazz, but still a sort of popular social piano sound. Or it could be something from, as I said, a classical romantic era composer. Brahms, Chopin, maybe even Schumann. Something in there, just really fluid and expressive. I do like that kind of music, especially on the piano. And that's the clue right there. And the music is kind of messy here, but I want to show you. I almost called it saxophone because that's what it sounds like to me. This is the entrance of the electric guitar. And I feel like it's really functioning as a saxophone here. And I guess that's one of the things that I'm starting to enjoy about the electric guitar is that it seems to be able to imitate different instrumental sounds quite well. And that's interesting to me and enjoyable. And so this is the precise moment where we're suddenly pointed to the fact that this isn't something classic or romantic. No, now we're really getting into the jazz. And that's a significant moment in the piece. So nice. And then the piano echoes it there. You hear that? And takes off with the improvisation. And now here is the next big change coming in. And it's interesting the way it goes from this. I do like this transition too. We hear that saxophone. And then here comes this sound feeding in, which at first, what is it? It's not really clear and distinct what it is, but it gradually grows and shifts its coloring a bit. And then we end up with this wonderful change again. I haven't gone in depth with this piece yet, so I'm not going to try to do that right now, but I'm thinking about this locomotive breath idea and the ideas in the lyrics, which are, the lyrics really aren't so happy as the music. But this intro makes me think of the trains back when they had these cars where there was entertainment and, maybe a smoking car, whatever, where there might be a piano in the car, there might be some drinks, it's a very social area. And I feel like that's what it's setting up here, is this sort of mood and vibe. And then the real story of the music comes in. So it's giving us a picture, and then in comes the story of this particular individual on the train. Now focus on what's coming. And that's much harder there. Much harder. As far as how it works with the lyrics, I'm going to have to dig into that too a bit. But this is just, again, it's still part of the intro, but it's preparing us for the verse of the song that's coming up. And here we are. Now, I like this bit where the voice is echoed by a guitar. And I don't know if you noticed that, but right here, as the verse begins, right? This is where the voice comes in, and then right here, we have the guitar echoing it. And if you listen closely, you can hear it happening. Let's see if we can find it. And there was the bass guitar answering. Is that the bass guitar? I still don't know these guitars, whatever. But it's down in the bass, so I'm going to call it the bass guitar. Yeah. Madness of the locomotive breath runs the all-time. And there it ends with that. So we have this voice, which really the music is focusing us towards. But underneath it, there's this answering voice, which is happening in the guitar. And that takes us back again to this idea of jazz and blues, which had this echoing call and response history and tradition in the music. And so it's interesting to me, so many of you have talked about how rock music was heavily influenced by those styles, and I was not sure exactly what you mean, but now in this song, I'm hearing it very clearly. So again, I want to show you, this is what you're hearing down in that bass if you listen for it. That bass voice. And it's going to keep showing up right here. And of course, you can see how it's featuring all the way through this verse. So that's interesting to me too, is hearing how the instruments and the voice play back and forth with each other. And that's one of the things I love about ensemble playing, where you have several musicians in a small group. Well, you might think of it as a rock band because there aren't that many musicians in a rock band. But as a classical musician, I'm thinking of it as ensemble to differentiate it from orchestra, which has this mass of performers, and they are all guided by one person, which is the conductor. But in an ensemble, we have a smaller set of performers. It could be 2, it could be 3, it could be 10, but it's a small group, and everyone can contribute and interact. And that's what's fun about something like a string quartet or quintet, or something for piano and strings, or let's say harp and violin, or all those different things. Voice with with a stringed instrument and a harp or piano. It is that sort of, I guess I would say maybe it's a sort of a band feel that you have as a musician participating, not being guided by one person's interpretation so much with a conductor, which is necessary in a large group, but we each have our personal element to bring to it, and the music also has this very conversational, personal feel, where one instrument says something, the other instrument contributes, either argues or talks back or affirms or combines to create a harmony. I guess that's one thing that I'm finding attractive about this music here, because it does feel like it's that sort of experience to play it. So having said all of that, let's go on, because that is what the bulk of this section is built around. And it's the rhythmic energy, the train progressing down the track, the steam puffing, the wheels clicking and all of that. And then there's this dynamic between the voice and the guitar. So let's just continue and enjoy it and see what else comes up.
Headlong to his death. Oh, it feels the piston scraping, steam breaking on his brow. Old Charlie stole the handle, and the train didn't want to stop. Oh, no, it could slow down. Oh, he sees his children jumping off stations one by one. His woman and his best friend in bed and having fun. Oh, he's crawling down the corridor on his hands and knees.
Kind of depressing lyrics there. I can't say that I love them. I feel like this music could be something else other than what the lyrics are saying, but at the same time, it is setting this person who seems to be just unable to break his destructive trend with this sense of continuing motion and activity going around, and it just goes on and nothing happens to stop it. So let's keep going.
Hands and knees. Old Charlie stole the handle, and the train didn't want to stop going. No, it could slow down.
And here we are at this really cute flute solo. What does it remind me of? Oh, it makes me think of passing scenery. Like if I'm looking out the train window, here are all these little, it has a sort of pastoral feel to it, almost a shepherd's pipe sound. And so it makes me think we're looking out the window and seeing farms and different things flying by the window as we're traveling in this train. So that's how I am relating to it in the moment. I'm curious to hear if it sounds different to, gives you a different picture or what. But anyway, I think it's cute. And now we have this little kitchen utensils rattling. Maybe it's not kitchen utensils, maybe it's something else, but it just continues to add in one more dimension to this sonic picture that is being built in the music of this piece. And it's nice because otherwise, if we just heard this da-dum, ba-dum, bum, bum over and over, we would be bored and we would say, let's end it. But every layer that comes makes me think, yeah, that's cute. Let's add something else. Let's see what is being developed in this music. I feel like it's very much a piece of music that is painting a picture. And that's one of the things that I find engaging about it. Yeah, it's a rhythm you can move to, and it works for that. But it's, to me, the interest is in the character development. I feel like while the lyrics are focusing on the life of this one person on the train, I feel like the music is more the whole experience and larger picture of the train and the travel and the landscape that's being passed, all of that. It's not focused on this one person's experience. And that's an interesting way to do it, but it makes sense if you think about it, because this person is just being carried along by events which he doesn't seem to be able to get hold of or get control over. So it makes sense, but at the same time, it makes this music able to be happy and enjoyable and all of that without getting pulled into the trouble that the person is in. So that's interesting to me, and it works. It works musically. It does. So we're getting close to the end of the second time through, and let's just finish it up.
Here's the silence howling, catches angels as they fall, and the all-time winner has got him by the balls. Oh, it picks up Gideon's Bible, open at page 1. I thank God it stole the handle, and the train it won't stop. Oh, no, it should slow down. 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 No, it should slow down.
And it just fades out of view. So suddenly, we are not on the train. We're suddenly standing outside of the train, watching it continue on its way. And I guess that kind of also fits with the lyrics, where it's saying, he sees his children getting off at the stations one by one. We don't really hear the train stopping at the stations along the way. It's more focused on the continuous motion and travel of this train. But here, we who have been watching all of this happen and experiencing part of it, although not this particular individual's part of it, we've been observers on the train, and now suddenly it seems like we are off the train and it is going on its way. And so we never really get to hear how the story ends. Instead, we go on our way to our next activity. There we have my first listen, and you got to see my second listen. Kind of all in one, because the first one happened so fast. I wanted to be able to absorb some more and explore some more with you here. So I'll be working on this over the next few days and digging into the music to be able to talk in more detail about how the music achieves what it does, and other things that catch my attention, and of course, what I learn about Jethro Tull, the band. In closing, don't forget, I want to remind you that we have a community poll going where you can vote for your next choice for next month. And don't forget there's coffee as well if you wish to support me. And of course, the second half of this is right here on this link. Click it and you will get to see how I finish this Locomotive Breath journey. I'll see you soon.